'Twas the night before legal tampering, and all through the house, Adam Peters was giving every player in the NFL a chance to move on from last year's loss. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and I come to you not live, but in recorded version, just about 24 hours until the opening of the NFL's legal tampering period. For anyone who doesn't know, legal tampering is a time when general managers can negotiate contracts with player agents, setting the stage for what officially happens when free agency opens on Wednesday. So a very, very crucial time approaching it imminently, not just for the Commanders, but for every single team in the NFL. And with the hours and the minutes counting down until the opening of that window, we are going to go over the final roundups from the national media. What are teams hearing? What are the people in the know? What are they expecting to happen? Whatever information we've got out there and how it relates to the Commanders, I am about to share it all with you. So before we jump into that, make sure that you guys do hit the like and the hype buttons if you are enjoying the content. Also, make sure you are subscribed because this is going to be one of the most frantic times of the year, and I promise to have you guys up to date on every single kernel of information as it comes up. So again, subscribe so you don't miss out. And as always, whatever thoughts you got, throw them down in the comment section below. Also, big announcement here. Because tomorrow is the opening of the legal tampering period, we might just have some contracts agreed to in principle by tomorrow. And there's no better way to celebrate that than with a live stream. I will be going live at 7 p.m. Eastern Monday night, joined by a very, very special guest, the one, the only, the GOAT of the Commanders community, Rio Robinson. Me and Rio are going to be chopping it up and talking about whatever is happening in Commanders Nation during the legal tampering period tomorrow, and ultimately predicting what we think may come when free agency opens on Wednesday. So it's going to be a bunch of fun, 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday evening. If you guys are able to, we'd love it for you to hop in and just check it out and to sit back and talk some ball with us, because who knows what not even the future, who knows what the present is going to look like 24 hours from now. But anyway, let's put a pause on that and let's jump into the final recaps that are out there. What is everybody expecting? Well, the Commanders are linked to basically everybody that's ever worn an NFL jersey before. Everybody knows they've got money. Everybody knows they've got a quarterback on a rookie contract. Everybody knows they had a massively disappointing last season after they greatly exceeded expectations the year before that. So everybody that you're thinking about putting the Commanders next to, writing their names in, yeah, they've other teams are thinking the same thing. GMs are thinking the same thing. So I'm going to go over the information. This is aggregated by ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. He has done most of the legwork here, and then we got one other really big piece of information we'll get to at the end, but we'll start with the Jeremy Fowler piece of it. So let's start with Alec Pierce. As everybody knows, the popular name, the deep ball receiver, led the NFL in yards per reception 2 years running, 1,000 yards last season. It seemed like he was going to be going back to the Colts, but then the Colts decided to use the transition tag on Daniel Jones, meaning they did not have a franchise tag available to put on Alec Pierce. Now, the expectation is that negotiations between the Colts and Alec Pierce are expected to go down to the final minute before the opening of the legal tampering period. However, Pierce did say recently on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams that he feels like he's earned the right to go figure out what his value is on the open market. Is that a negotiation tactic? Maybe. Is he being honest? I think so. I think he is headed for free agency. Now, according to Jeremy Fowler here, Pierce is expected to command at least $27 million annually on his next contract. I believe that puts him 12th or 13th in the NFL for highest paid wide receivers. Of course, there will be some guys coming up who need to get paid. JSN needs to get paid. Neighbors is going to get paid. BTJ probably going to get paid. I think that last year was just a down year for him. So he won't stay at that 12th or 13th mark, but that's where he will be, assuming he does get a contract for this value. Now, the Patriots, Commanders, Raiders, and Titans are the four teams that are primarily in the mix to sign Alec Pierce. Interestingly, the Patriots are my front runner from what I can gather to sign Alec Pierce. However, they are the only team that I mentioned there that is not in the top four in cap space in the NFL. Commanders, Raiders, Titans, all three of the top four teams. The Chargers are the other one. The Patriots, they've still got space, $40-something million, but they would basically use a massive chunk of that just to sign one player. So if this thing does go to a bidding war and the Commanders, Raiders, or Titans are committed to that, they could put together a better offer than the Patriots, you would assume. Romeo Doubs. Doubs is considered by some evaluators to be the most complete receiver on the open market in this cycle. The Patriots, Commanders, and Titans, just the three of the same teams that were just mentioned with Alec Pierce, those three are all also in the mix for Romeo Doubs. Now, Fowler did also mention the 49ers here, and according to A to Z Sports' Josh Taylor, Doubs to San Francisco is the worst kept secret in the NFL. So maybe Doubs not an option, but the Commanders still keeping tabs on the situation. Rashid Shaheed, another deep ball receiver, was not mentioned in connection to the Commanders or really any team in the NFL aside from the Las Vegas Raiders. Makes sense. They've got cap space. They need to support their young quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, who everybody knows that they will select with the first pick. And also Clint Kubiak, now the coach of the Raiders, was the offensive coordinator in Seattle, where he worked with who? Rashid Shaheed. So that makes a lot of sense. Mike Evans. The Buccaneers are trying to re-sign him, but it does seem increasingly likely that he is destined for the open market. The Commanders were called a sleeper team here. Evans has a list of demands. He wants to get a lot of targets. He wants to be with a good quarterback, and he wants to compete for a Super Bowl. I think he's got to face reality that he can't have all of those things because Mike Evans is probably not a number one wide receiver at this stage of his career. So if he goes to the Commanders or any other team that's really competing for a championship that already has a solid receiver, he's not going to dominate the targets. I think the Patriots are really the one big exception there because they have a vacancy at wide receiver 1. But still, Mike Evans, a sleeper to the Commanders. Wan'Dale Robinson, the only team linked to him was the Tennessee Titans, and that lines up with what I've heard. I would say that's pretty much an open and shut case. Wan'Dale is going to Tennessee. Moving to running backs, Kenneth Walker III. The ceiling for free agent running backs in this cycle, and this is all of them, to take the top paid guy. The ceiling is thought to be at about $12 million per year, although it was noted that a bidding war could change that. Walker is expected to draw interest from the Giants, Commanders, and Titans. Now, interestingly, Travis Etienne also set to be on the market. The Chiefs and the Broncos supposedly want Etienne, but if either one or both of those teams miss out, then they would pivot and look at Walker as an alternative. So, let's just say a team enters the mix very late for him. Let's say the Minnesota Vikings come calling, and Travis Etienne goes to Minnesota. Then you could have the Giants, Commanders, Titans, Broncos, and Chiefs all after Kenneth Walker, and that $12 million valuation might go up to 14 or 15, depending on how a bidding war unfolds. A cheaper option, but another powerful sort of running back, Rico Dowdle. Multiple people around the league have linked him to the Commanders. There was no information about who was in front or who was falling behind or anything else. Just multiple people have linked him to the Commanders. We do know from Matthew Berry, of the NBC sports analyst and the founder of Fantasy Life, that the Commanders wanted to add a thumper into their backfield. Rico Dowdle is a thumper. He is a physical, aggressive player, and he's pretty good. He's shown that the last couple of seasons. So maybe it's a Rico Bill backfield that the Commanders are going to have next season. Some general notes here before I move on to the final player who is maybe the highest profile player out of everybody that we've mentioned thus far. General notes from Jeremy Fowler. He says, quote, "The Commanders were listed frequently in our running back and receiver breakdowns above. The pulse inside the league is that this year could be Washington's most active offseason since the Adam Peters era began in 2024. The Commanders have an interest in other positions as well, such as cornerback, edge rusher, and possibly tight end." So the Commanders, again, lining up with everything that we've heard from the local media, from the national media. They are going to be aggressive in free agency. They're going to spend the money. And like I kind of joked, but also in being somewhat serious, they're linked to basically everybody. Everybody out there who's got some reputable play in the NFL, expected to draw some money, Commanders are probably linked to him. The final player, and again, the most high profile of them all, Tyler Linderbaum. Around noon on Sunday, and this comes from Jordan Schultz, so not Jeremy Fowler, didn't make any mention of this, but Jordan Schultz says that if the Ravens don't re-sign Tyler Linderbaum, NFL teams believe that the Commanders will heavily pursue him. Linderbaum supposedly wants $24 million annually, and if he were to sign for that amount with the Commanders would have the highest paid offensive line in the NFL. And that's with 2 rookies starting for them. That's with Brandon Coleman at left guard. That's with Josh Connolly Jr. at right guard. Now, Josh Connolly was first round, so he's still making solid money, right? But you have Laramie Tunsil, who's making a lot and is going to be making even more. You would have Sam Cosmi, who already got his contract, and then you would have Tyler Linderbaum. Now, I'm not opposed to this. It did surprise me. It did surprise me because I thought Linderbaum would price himself out of competition for the Commanders' next starting center position. Connor McGovern got his contract signed either yesterday or 2 days ago, got it extended by the Bills. So he's out of the market. And unless the Commanders want to roll with bringing in competition for Alec Reddy, if they really want that blue chip guy, it's Tyler Linderbaum. He's one of the top centers in the NFL. He is certainly the top center on the open market now that McGovern is back in Buffalo. So unless this deal gets done, yeah, it does sound like the Commanders could be interested in signing him, and I understand why. Two possibilities here. Either this is leverage and the Linderbaum wants to get more money from the Ravens, or maybe it's just a deal and wait. Because looking around the rest of the league, I feel like it's probably going to be Baltimore or the Commanders. I don't know. I don't have inside information there, just theorizing. But anyway, like I said at the start of the video, we got 24 hours to go until very important times in the NFL. That's all I've got for you here. This is the final wrap up. I didn't even post yesterday. I was waiting for information to happen. I've been having 2-3 upload days recently, and I was like, something's got to happen, and it was eerily quiet on Saturday. So Sunday, I guess nothing shocking, but this is the final. The pieces have been arranged on the board, and now everybody's about to go play the game. Starts at 12 Eastern, noon Eastern tomorrow, and then free agency opens at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. So very exciting times ahead. Guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit the like and the hype buttons. Also subscribe so you don't miss out on the daily uploads. Don't forget myself and Rio going live at 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow evening, that being Monday evening. Going to be a lot of fun. If you guys can hop in, then would love for you to do that. Whatever thoughts you got, throw them down in the comment section. I'm going to head on out of here, but I appreciate y'all joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.